How's it going, everybody? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. It is time to talk a little bit about what just happened over there on the other side of the world with Leonida winning the EMPRO Wellness Classic. I think the entire world was looking at this show and was actually thinking that Danae was probably gonna edge out Leonida, but in essence, they never moved Leonida out of that top four, and eventually she ended up winning the show. Congratulations to her. She looked great as always. A little things here and there that happened in the show personally that I would like to talk about because I think it's something that's happening in the IFBB Pro League, especially in this class, the wellness class worldwide. So speaking of which, this is the call out that was just up there. I was talking about it, top four. All these ladies looked phenomenal. There's one thing when you are doing the shows overseas or even in Latin America, there is this thing that we have created as, in the world of bodybuilding and fitness from the 80s to the 90s to the early 2000s, that conditioning always wins. Or if I can rephrase, conditioning usually, people tend to go towards conditioning instead of like the size and big round muscle bellies that are softer. So in all the classes, bodybuilding, classic physique, this, that, and the other, it seems to me that that's still the rule. Usually, if it's bodybuilding and the bigger, fuller guy is obviously bigger, but it's not as conditioned, I believe that a lot of people go towards conditioning unless there's like a major, humongous size difference. In this lineup, if you see closely, check Catarina de Sousa here, you got Danae, you got Carlota to the right hand. All these three girls that I just mentioned, they were all in ridiculous conditioning, especially from the back. You could see the hamstring tie-in, the gluten ham tie-ins on these three women. The only one where you couldn't see as much was Leonida, but she was bigger, fuller than everybody else. When I did this, play-by-play and everything, I already mentioned that this seems to me like the IFBB Pro League is trying to send a message, which is very different than all of the other classes in our world of bodybuilding and fitness, which is, I believe, in wellness, they want a bigger, rounder, more softer look. And that should win over a more conditioned athlete. It happened a few weeks ago in Miami when I saw Rayani Fogal clearly beating Alexis, but I have not seen Rayani's this soft, if you want to call it. So when I saw her in person, things didn't seem all that well, but then eventually she talked, as you saw in the interview, she talked to me and she said that the feedback that she had was to come in softer. And Alexis was harder in a way, and Alexis kind of looked more dialed in because we're used to this bodybuilding mentality that you have to be harder, more conditioned than the person next to you. I've always been a big fan of Leonida. 2 years ago, I saw her. I told the world that she was severely mislooked at the Olympia. She definitely brings a great look, a great package, and I'm a big fan of her. Have I seen her this soft before? Not really, but I guess it was enough to win. Maybe, again, this is a message. This is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. This is not easy to achieve for a competitor to actually, make all the time in the world peaking to a certain level, because you don't want to be too soft. You don't want to be too hard. It's very hard, if you want to call it that. Again, you guys, this was an hour. This was an hour prior to the finals. You guys literally voted that 53% of you voted that, Danae should have won. Again, this is a crowd that I believe that when you put them next to each other and you look at the package, you kind of go, okay, Leonida looks great, big, round, fullness, bigger calves, bigger quads, bigger glutes. But then you look at Danae and she's harder, she's more conditioned. So I believe, again, in our wellness class, it's kind of the other way around. Just like I've always said, same with the symmetry. The symmetry in bodybuilding and fitness is just the V taper. Here it's no V taper. It's like the upside down V taper because it's a different size and symmetry game in our wellness class. Again, congratulations to her. I think she's amazing. I mean, there is no other way to explain it. If you've seen her in person, she has all the tools. She's almost flawless to a degree. That's why when she didn't end up looking great, she ended up looking great, but she kind of was overlooked. Then I had something to say because there is no way that she wasn't gonna make it. Eventually, she's been climbing up little by little, and her posing and everything. She's very good on set. She always maintains herself crazy conditioned in the off season. Okay, so many people can learn from her because again, in the off season, she's still looking good cuts and everything. I would say that she's always pretty much on. And since a lot of people are used to seeing her this hard on Instagram, then when you see her on stage, and she's probably the only one out of the top 3 that looks this soft, then you would actually think, hey, something's going to happen here. But again, you guys saw exactly what I saw. There's no way buts or whatever you want to call it. It is what it is, and the judges made their call. We don't have to agree with it. We just have to accept it and learn from those competitions moving forward. Big hats off to Carlota. Big hats off to Catarina de Souza. They're both great competitors. If you're going to go pose per pose, it's really hard again because Danae did get better from her offseason. This is a completely different package than she's used to before when she was competing here at the Olympia. I would say this girl has done her homework. And man, I wish she was doing more shows in America because trust me, my friends, she is up for it and she will give a lot of headaches to a lot of competitors here in the United States. So again, pose for pose. Yes, Leonida, I believe, was, had the whole package, bigger, fuller, rounder, but everybody else was way, way more conditioned. And you will see this for a little bit in the European shows. You would see this in the Latin American shows because, again, it's that mindset of conditioning versus, let me bring you a little bit softer and being afraid of spilling over or whatever happens prior to the shows. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Keep it locked to the Wellness Observer Life, of course, with the godfather of wellness, Johnny Styles. If you don't see me, you know where to reach me. So reach at me. Let's do this.